clerk is not here today, so we have a substitute pitch hitting for us. So roll call vote, please.
Parmenter?
Here.
Gladden? Hawk?
Here.
Rodell?
Here.
Henson?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Billingsley?
Present.
Higginbotham?
Here.
And Mayor Scott? We have a quorum.
This meeting is called to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for July 20th, 2020. However, they did not get attached to this, the agenda, so we will be tabling that until next month, if that's okay with the council. We can do a motion for that.
Motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to table the minute approval for July 28th, 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes to table. Now we move on to the fun part, which is the announcements and presentations, and we have some big announcements and presentations today. This is the graduation of the, I guess we call it the first annual Bryant 101, but it's the second actual Bryant 101 course that's ever been. And for those of you who are here that are part of it, thank you. Those of you who are not, basically we invited people from the city to come in, learn a little bit about city government. We took them around over a period of, I think, 8 sessions. So it's about 8 weeks long worth of work. Everybody did a really good job of it. My department heads did a wonderful job. Unfortunately, I missed the exciting parts of it because I had a little illness that went on during that time. So right now, I'd like to recognize our people. So I'm going to call by ward, and then I'd like you, when you're, I'll spit it out in a second. When you are called up, just come on up, and I'll give you your stuff, and then we'll line up over here, and we're going to take a picture by ward, if that's okay. So we'll have to have our masks, so smile with your eyes. Because that's the way I do it.
If you want, we can just line them up so we can do one by one. If you want.
However you want to do it, it's fine with me. Ernie Hino. Ernie came the first day and said he was joining. We weren't sure he was going to be able to at first. Jessica Hino, because he had some prior obligations he felt, but luckily they told him he didn't have to go because of the COVID, not because he had it or anything. Jason Whittington. Jason Whittington, are you here today?
He's at the house. I'll take his.
Oh, okay. Jan Livingston.
Yeah. He was having to take care of stuff.
Oh, is he okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alright, if you guys will, Mayor, if you'll come over, we can do one by one. and
Sure.
do a minute or
You want to do one more one or all together? Let's go to the other. Do it all
Are you
together.
okay with that? Alright.
We're not waiting on photo bombing.
Two. I can crop you out, wait, it's good.
He's going to do it at the last minute.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, that was Ward 1. Ward 2, Doris Jones. Thank you. Olindria Jordan. I believe I got the first name right. I practiced, just like I did when I taught school. I practiced those names. Marquita Gilmore. And Denisha Ramsey. Now we'll get this picture.
Just stand behind Alan. We'll move right
There we
there.
go. 1, 2, 3.
Ward 3 is Angie Friedel. Greg Whitehead. James Little.
25.
Take care of our people.
James Randy Little. Jacob Brady. Just in case y'all might not know this, he was a student of mine once. That's a big joke in City Hall. Everybody's like, everybody's a student here. So,
Thank you.
and finally, Ward 4, which is Julie Goshen. Couldn't make it, I guess. I'm going to say this name so it's on the record. Christopher Wallace. If everybody that's here knows, it was kind of fun with Chris.
He'll be here at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Daniel Daly. He said he's tired. Second day teaching school. Amy Edwards.
Yes, I like it. I like it. I like it.
That's all right.
I love it.
For public servants, it's fine.
Hold my money through that. I love it. There we go. 1, 2, 3.
Just to let everybody know that next Thursday is the second Bryant 101 for this year to kick off. And that'll be the last one for this year. And then next year we'll start doing yearly after that. So, just so everybody knows.
Oh,
Sir.
I want to commend Dana for coordinating all that. I think she did a wonderful job.
Absolutely. I couldn't do it without her. I know that. Committee and commission reports. I do believe we have a couple.
Last month, I came and talked to you about some additional equipment that the Water and Wastewater Committee recommended that we buy. They formalized their recommendation on that, and they wanted me to share that with y'all tonight. I'm going to pass this out to everybody. And they also asked that I share some additional information with you about some of the things they would like to see done with the 2020 budget, or the 2021 budget around that. So, if you want to ask questions about it, certainly you can do that. It might be that, if you want to give me a phone call or just send me an email or something too. So.
Thank you.
Back to you.
I will share with you that we have already obtained the equipment for the pipe bursting, and we did a pipe bursting on a section last week, and we've already done a section this week. So our estimated cost savings on those two sections alone is about $150,000. A very good spending, council. We really appreciate your support on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe Truett has something.
Yeah, so just real quick, an update on the Planning Commission. We have had a commissioner resign from the Planning Commission. Mr. Ken Bryant has resigned, and we plan to honor his service at a later date in front of the council. But I wanted to let everybody know that the seat is open. We'll start accepting resumes for that Ward 3 position tomorrow, and we'll do a release on that as well, so to let everybody know. And if you can, please send those through Dana. She's collecting those for us, and then we'll do that for 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, have it open for 2 weeks, and then hopefully bring a recommendation back to council at y'all's next meeting. So if there are any
right. Any other committee and commission reports? Nobody jumping up, so I guess we're done. Department reports? Don't believe there are any on that as well. Public comments. Do we have any public comments tonight? As I'm sure you're aware, state your name, your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to...
I'm David Bailey, and I live at 2004 Birdie Lane, Bryan, Arkansas. And I just wanted to say, today I showed my picture, or I showed LeBron James' picture in class today. And I purposely chose one of him practicing because we get to see a lot of the things that he does on the court, but we don't see the work that he puts in. And in the same way, we get to see a lot of the finished product of Brian, but we don't get to see the work that you guys put in on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to say thank you guys for the care and the planning and the effort and really the cooperation that you guys bring. I got to see that firsthand, so I very appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing nobody getting up, I'm assuming we're done with that section of it. Next on the agenda is executive session for the city attorney position. So we shall retire into executive session.
Don't you need Dean, don't you need a motion to do so, sir?
I guess we do need a motion, I'm sorry.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Second. Yeah.
Have a motion
We said.
and a second to go into executive session to discuss city attorney position. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Remember, leave your devices here, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. I started to bring my ballpark fan.
Oh, I have one.
I should
It
have.
runs on a USB cord.
Yes.
It is 6:53 and we are back from executive session. Do I have a motion from the executive session?
So moved. Second.
So moved what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we hire the new city attorney to replace Josh Foreman.
I have a motion to hire Ashley Clancy as the city attorney, replacing Josh Farmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations.
Do you want to come and sit at the big table now?
No more sitting in the back of the room.
Okay, fine.
She might want to leave now so they can watch that volleyball game.
He's leaving.
I got to go. We got practice.
That's right.
Other than that, I don't think we have any old business that I'm aware of. I do remember one thing. RJ had asked for an update on some things for A&P. We're going to bring that next month.
Okay.
I talked to Dr. Walters relating to that, and she goes, it'd be okay to wait a month so we see just how things will work out right now, since nobody's really sure how school's going to work. And Jason was willing to wait on that because nothing that he needs will be until next year anyway. So,
Okay.
so that'll take care of that. Any new? Guess we'll go on to new business then. New business. We're kind of doing this a new way. We do have Joy Black with us. She is Zooming with us apparently. So hopefully we can work it out.
You can hear it.
Okay. So whenever you're ready, Joy.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
I
Yes.
hear you. Waves and everything.
Okay, first order is my regular report. Does anybody have any questions?
Looks very good, Joy. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing during this time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the presentation and approval of the 2020 July year-to-date city financial report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Second item is resolution January 1, 2020 and ending December. A resolution providing for the adoption of an amended budget for the city of Bryan for the 12-month period beginning 31/2020. I'm not sure what that means, but there's a word missing. Anyway, go ahead, Joy.
Uh-oh. Okay, it should just be the regular resolution for budget adjustments. And I put a report with it that gives the synopsis of the budget adjustments. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
I appreciate all the descriptions that you put out to the side. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions then.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second to approve the resolution providing for the adoption of an amended budget for the city of Bryan for the 12-week month period beginning January 1, 2020 and ending December 31, 2020. Little typo on the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That will be resolution 2020-17. Next up is an ordinance to waive competitive bidding process for police tasers for the 2020-2024 sole source. You might want to come up and talk about this one, Chief, even though it's under Joy's.
I literally just put them in my mouth.
It's all right.
Essentially, our tasers, which are one of our primary non-lethal devices, carry pepper spray, batons, tasers, they're severely out of date. To give you an example, the model that we have ceased to be produced in 2014, 2020. We only have a 5-year warranty on them, so obviously they're severely out of date. So when they break, we can replace them. So what we're basically doing is replacing all of our tasers on the front end with a 5-year program through tasers called Taser 60. It actually saves us money. You would think painted up front would be cheaper, but they actually give you some incentives to actually do this program, so it's actually saving what, $5,000-$6,000 by not paying it up front. So we pay a yearly fee, and at the end of 5 years, we're not leasing it. It takes as long as we get them. So it will come out of our budget for this year, and then we'll budget it for the previous 4 years, 24 years. Does that make sense?
So is this going to be like a rolling, where you're going to, every 5 years, going to need this if they go out of date 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, really you need to, because when they hit that 5-year warranty, they start making models and they don't make the parts, and you send it back, and say, hey, you need to replace it. So this way, it's under the warranty the whole time we have them, and then based on it, it's like with the car,
Yeah.
and the roll over, you go and the papers over. So we won't be in this position again where we have tasers that are ancient, out of date. We'll always have good equipment. There'll be times when they're, 3, 4, 5 years old that they get replaced. So, and if something happens to them during those 5 years, they replace it for you free. It's part of the warranty.
Motion to suspend the rules and approve with first, second, and third reading by title only.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read first, second, and third reading by title only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. An ordinance to waive the competitive bidding process for police tasers, sole source, and for other purposes.
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second to adopt. Roll call vote, please.
Billingsley,
Yes, absolutely.
Hawk,
Yes.
Is absent. Henson,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
and Rodell.
Yes.
And I don't believe there's an emergency clause on
It
this.
is.
There is.
It's
Oh,
on
there is?
there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
It expires August 31st.
Okay.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause, sir.
Have a motion-
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the emergency clause. Roll call vote, please.
Hawk,
Yes.
Henson,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Billingsley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
and Gladden is absent.
Motion passes.
Yes, motion.
It's all adopted. According to my calculation, this should be ordinance 2020-15. So,
Thank you.
thank you, Chief. Next to the next page. I believe that's everything for you, Joy, if you're still on there. If not, enjoy. Enjoy the beach.
She waved.
Enjoy the beach. That's all I can say. Next up is Bryant Fire Department presenting. Make sure I got it right. Yep, Fire Department General Rules and Regulations amended 2020.
You should fall asleep there,
Oh.
Chief.
The heat's getting to him.
I was commenting on what a good idea that was with the tasers, and I said to Chief Hutch, I said, I think we get some fire trucks on that program. You're presenting the fact that you're going to have a payment every year. You should budget always have excellent equipment. I'm going to get some fire trucks like that. That's what good. Yeah, what we have here before you is just a cleanup of our general rules and regulations that we've always had. It got rid of a couple sections that were no longer relevant and clarified the process on our timesheet for regular people. Really the only changes that were.
Chief, you mind doing, thank you so much. That way I can understand you a little better.
Thank you for asking.
Appreciate it.
But it was, did you get it, any of that, the sections? There was
Yes,
a
sir.
section or two.
I'm good.
relevant in
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Fire Department General Rules and Regulations amended 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. Now we get to move on to planning and community development.
Good evening, council. The PUD that was out there, and there were a number of things we worked through on that project. The applicant came back and requested just to do the rezoning to R1S, so to go away from the PUD completely. We did hold a public hearing on it at the Planning Commission level. There was one person that came forward. He was just curious about what the PUD was and what R1S meant. That was explained to him, and he ended up leaving, being in favor of the project. So it does come from the Planning Commission with that approval.
I have one comment or question about the flood zone and the core regs. That will still be in place no matter what zoning it's put in?
But they'll still have to go through the core for any of those issues, and all the stormwater stuff will still apply to them.
Okay. Thank you.
So yes.
We should put on first, second, third reading by title only, sir.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read first, second, third reading by title only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This is an ordinance amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the city of Bryant to rezone certain property from PUD to R1S. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Question first. Now, when this was brought to us the last time, and then they backed out on it because of so much being in the flood zone, we had to do approval, I think, on streets for the fire department to be able to get in there. So this is going to be completely replatted.
It's sort of be completely redesigned from what the PUD was. So any of the design would have to meet all of our new standards that we have now. So you'd have to go back through the development process. Chief Jordan and DRC and Planning Commission would all re-look through it, and they have to do the standard preliminary and final plan. So yes, sir, they will.
All right. All right. Any other questions?
Is R1 a gated community, or does that have to be a PUD?
The gate really doesn't have.
To have a gated area, you have to go PUD, don't you?
I think you would.
Because of the streets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Like in most cases,
So that's
that
coming
would be
out of
the
that?
case.
Okay.
Yes, so it's coming out of that. Yes,
Okay.
So I think the intention there is that they will meet all of our specifications, and most likely those streets would be
Okay. Thank you.
but that will be, this is the zoning.
Right,
so
right.
That will come later and go through the planning process.
Any additional questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
What was the motion?
Motion was him. Second was
Hall.
Hawk,
Yes.
Henson,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Billingsley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
and Gladden is absent. Motion passes.
Motion passes. Is there an emergency clause on this? I don't believe there is. I don't see anything.
Emergency clause?
No.
Yes.
No.
I don't see it on the paper.
Well, somebody in the crowd that's representing them just said yes.
Okay.
So I motion to adopt emergency clause.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause and a second to adopt the emergency clause. Roll call vote, please.
Can we do that, Josh?
You can, if you adopt it verbally, you just have to go back and add that in the draft before it's executed.
So we need to add an emergency clause to it.
Well,
We're going to vote on it.
Councilmember Rodell did that essentially by making the...
Okay. Thank you.
Billingsley,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Gladden, Henson,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Rodell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Emergency clause passes. This should be ordinance 2020 dash, you get the right number. I mean, that's 16. Once the emergency clause is added. Is that right?
remember it.
Next item.
Yes, I believe this is a waiver for a trail. This is a subdivision, a property being subdivided into two pieces. So that's where the trigger for the improvements comes. They're requesting a waiver for Lot 2 of that subdivision to not build a trail on that section.
It's my understanding that, I'm going to drop this just so I can hear myself. It's my understanding that there's an individual home that's being built that butts up to Spring Hill Road. Is that the situation?
I believe so. That's what they're planning on doing, is doing residential there.
Okay.
You know, on previous month, there was a couple of trail waivers that y'all did not approve. So.
But those weren't for individual homes, those were for subdivisions.
It is similar to the one that was previously done further south on Spring Hill Road. That was one lot, got subdivided into two. It didn't have as much frontage as this one does, but it was a similar situation.
The one that we rejected, was it a sidewalk or a trail?
Oh, the sidewalk.
I thought it was the sidewalk.
Yeah, that was the sidewalk, and this is a trail. From my understanding, talking to our city engineer, Ted Taylor, the cost difference between the sidewalk and the trail is incremental. Obviously, there is a difference because it is a wider structure going in there.
Did this go through DRC?
It did go through DRC, although the plat did. You know, it was the understanding of DRC that the trail was getting built when it went through DRC. I believe the applicant changed that at the planning commission.
So they haven't said yea or nay to doing this at DRC?
No, it was DRC's understanding that the trail was going to happen.
Okay.
And what was the planning commission?
The planning commission, the trails and the sidewalks come straight to council.
Okay.
So there was a waiver requested at the planning commission level for a Hatch Street improvement waiver, and that did occur on Lot 2, but not on Lot 1. I believe the request for the waiver was on Lot 2, to be specific.
Does Lot 2 adjoin Spring Hill Road at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I can show you the copy of the plat. The whole nine yards on it.
Mine was large and I didn't get it all.
Yeah, I think
It's okay.
the mayor and I noticed that earlier today.
Yeah, sorry, I copied that.
But the 11 by
But I see
17
that there.
got cropped on here, so apologize for that.
So it does have, both lots have Spring Hill Road frontage.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the waiver would be the trail going in front of Lot 2 on Spring Hill is what the request is. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
What did the planning commission rule on the Half Street waiver?
They did give it to Lot 2, which I believe was the request.
Could I ask the person in the crowd that wants to speak, that's about to jump out of his seat to speak, sir?
Sure.
Good evening, Jonathan Hope Consulting. I just wanted to clarify, it did come through DRC, it was discussed as a replat. The reason it was not discussed at DRC with respect to the trail was because the GIS map actually shows the trail being on the west side of Spring Hill. So it came through DRC, it was not realized that the trail was on our side until the night of planning. So it was not a request because the updated maps are showing on the opposite side of the road. And so we are only asking for the trail, which is 12 feet wide, to not be built on this one single family residential home. If somebody's looking to build a house, there's lots of houses that are fronting Spring Hill on acreage that obviously do not have 12-foot wide shared access trail. So we're just asking for this one lot.
Will you be doing a trail with the Half Street improvements on Lot 2? Or Lot 1?
Lot 1, we didn't ask for that. Our expectation is the people that own that, they're planning on building one building they own a Montessori school. Right now it's working out of their house, so their long-term plan would be to build a building for the children. So In that case, I expect that would be, come in as an actual development, even though small, they would build a trail.
That will be after the half street improvements for, I'm talking about lot 1, not lot 2.
Lot 1 is the larger one, right?
That's a
Yeah.
10-acre lot.
Right, the 10-acre lot, they will do the half street improvements, they will do the trail.
Yeah, I thought lot 2 was the bigger of the two lots.
No.
Bigger.
Okay.
Lot 2 has more frontage, but lot
Okay,
1 is-
gotcha. I got you. Okay.
So we're voting on the waiver, is that correct?
You're voting on the waiver for trail for lot 2 for subdivision development located at 4910 Spring Hill Road. And I will entertain a motion to approve or reject.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the waiver of trail for lot 2 of subdivision development. I think it's called Knuckles Estates, located at 4910 Spring Hill Road. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
That would be a 5 to 3. 5 to 3, motion passes. All right. The waiver apparently is granted. Moving on is Public Works now. We're doing well. Everybody's getting hot. I'll show a little presentation for y'all. This is basically information purposes today. We won't start any action on this until next month, as I sent out an email. There's a couple of different options for working through the funding on this, so we want to give y'all some time to digest it and see what you thought with regards. And of course, I sent an email to y'all. I think it was yesterday.
So most everybody's aware, every 3 years we're required to do a rate analysis for the water and wastewater rates. In 2017, for the year 2018, 19, and 20, we engaged Communities Unlimited to do that rate analysis. Jerry Kopke did the analysis. We engaged Jerry with Communities Unlimited again this year to do the rate analysis for us. So with no further ado, I'll let you take over.
Mayor Scott, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity to work with you in the Public Works Department and provide this report and recommendations. Public water and wastewater systems are required by state law to develop rates that are sufficient to meet their debt service, operating expenses, and necessary reserves. We used a number of measures in order to determine the financial sufficiency of your water and wastewater system. The primary one was to operate with a ratio of 1.85, which means that you meet your voluntary expenses and have a 5% cushion in case of a contingency. What we found was that you are meeting your operating ratio with your operating expenses, but you've got more costs other than operating expenses. You also have significant investments in capital expense, fixed asset, infrastructure, and those are driving the need to increase rates for both water and wastewater. What I'm recommending is on page 13 of the report, that water rates increase by 48 cents for the minimum bill, let me backtrack, that rates be increased incrementally over a 3-year period. For the first year, the minimum charge for water would go up by 48 cents, and the consumption charge would go up by 23 cents per 1,000 gallons. The residential customer using the average of 4,000 gallons would see an increase of 94 cents. The second year, it would go up a tad higher to 98 cents. And the third year, $1.01. Wastewater would go up by $1.99 on the minimum charge and $1.06 on the consumption charge. So the monthly increase for wastewater would be $4.12 the first year, $4.60 the second, and $5.14 the third. For the customer getting a minimum bill of 2,000 gallons, the combined water and wastewater charge would go up by $2.47 the first year, and the average bill would go up by $5.06. This is largely driven by the need to invest in both water and wastewater infrastructure. You have had a very aggressive program of repairing, replacing, and improving both systems. And decisions have been made as far as self-financing as much as possible, and this reflects the self-financing. Your rates fall, your rates now, and with these recommendations, fall within the affordability rate set by with financing agencies. And water rates statewide are between the 9th and 25th percentile, and wastewater is between the 54th and 85th percentile. So especially your water, but even your wastewater are well within the guidelines statewide. One of the reasons for this change at this level is that when I did the report in 2017, I miscalculated other income. I misread the financial reports and included an extra $1 million in intergovernmental transfer. I did not understand intergovernmental transfer. I do now. And so, whereas 3 years ago it was a very, very small increase, we're kind of catching up with it this year.
Do you recall what it was 3 years ago, or whatever it was? Jerry, I don't remember.
It was 5.5% on wastewater to 3.6% on water.
Spread over 3 years?
Yes. No, that was
just a one-time
one
tax.
Yeah, I think we had, if I remember right, because I was on council, we had a choice of either implementing it one time or over a 3-year period.
Pull that off immediately or take a piece off a piece at a time, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, like, these water systems that you're mentioning in here?
Yes.
Are they're water systems? Are those all municipal systems you're talking about?
No. They would be both municipal systems, they would be water associations, they would be regional water districts, but they would all be public water systems.
So are any of them within utilities that have other subsidiaries that supplement their water costs or the wastewater costs in any way, shape, or form that you're aware of?
I don't have that information. All I have is the charge for that specific system, and I've been able to report this water source, whether or not they produce it or they purchase it. But I don't have that additional information.
That's fine. Just things that run through your mind when you look at the numbers.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Any additional questions right now on that?
So, Mayor, based on your email that you sent out yesterday, you said there's a proposed increases of 15% for water and 35% for wastewater. Is that a one-time, or is that over the course of the 3 years?
That's over the course of the period. And the recommendation for water dropped from 15 to 12 because that 1.05 operating ratio only applies to operating expenses. It doesn't apply to fixed assets. So I was able to drop the water by 3%. But then the increases that I recorded represent that 12%.
Why so much for wastewater? Is it because of the infrastructure that we need to?
It's a combination of the infrastructure and the fact that it's much more expensive to clean water rather than to treat water.
That's very diplomatic, sir.
I did practice.
Yes, sir. Does that include, does your recommendation include any potential physical projects that may be in our long-range plans, or is this just with the existing infrastructure?
This is working with your Public Works Department as far as planned activity over the next 5 years, from 2020 through 2024.
I can't see your face, Mark, your mask.
Here, you got any questions?
What?
You got any questions for me on here?
Does that include any long-term physical plans that we're aware of with regards to the rates that he's mentioning?
So on the water side, there's about $400,000 a year in the capital budget to address the long-term 20-year plan. There's about $1.6 million on the wastewater side, and that is strictly for the capital improvement plan around the consent action order under ADQ.
Right.
So the ADQ action order is driving these spends.
Right.
Okay. And if you'll recall from the consent action order, the capital improvement plan required an average of $2.3 million of capital spend per year.
Is that back to the polish pond issue or not? Is it separate?
That's not part of that.
Okay, sorry.
So with that in mind, you can see that by doing work in-house instead of contracting it out, we've taken $700,000 or so per year off of that capital investment that we're going to have to make out of pocket.
Yeah.
So there's significant savings there.
Got $2.1 million a year with this equipment that we're getting.
Well, yes, there's $2.1 million savings there.
Right, okay.
That's right. So again, if you look at the average cost per year of capital improvements under consent action order is $2.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
We're plugged in at about 1.5, 1.6, and I'm being conservative on that.
Okay. Mark, and I'm just asking a question here, and just because I don't know.
Sure.
I'm looking at page 27 of the report, and it shows all the municipalities that have water, and the first one I see is Central Arkansas Water, that when it gets to that 4,000 gallons per month, it's $14.02. And Brian sits at about 13. And I know we get our water, we wholesale our water through Central Arkansas Water, but have we ever even explored the option of letting Central Arkansas Water just take over that because one of the biggest.
No, I can say the answer.
Well, don't cut me off.
Well, no,
What I'm saying is one of the biggest concerns with, I know we all get it, is that the water bills are so high. People are, I got 2 last week that people complain about how high the water bills are, and I'm sitting here looking at Central Arkansas Water and others that are much cheaper than we are, and I just didn't know if we could have that conversation just to hear another option.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. They've approached us previously. There was no serious conversations around that. It was under the last administration. We haven't heard from them since about that. But something to know, their water's so cheap because they produce it. Mm-hmm. And we don't buy our water wholesale. We buy it for whatever the price is. You can call it wholesale if you just want to use that term. But the price we pay for the water is basically what we're charging our customers. We don't make money off our water rates. We don't make money off our wastewater rates. We recover our costs.
And I understand it. When I've spoken with a couple of people about this, and the term wholesale was used. That's the only reason why I used that term. I just thought, since that's been one of the biggest concerns amongst our residents is the cost of water, rather than just automatically saying, let's go and increase the water and the sewage, let's go back and try to have that conversation with Central or whoever. It doesn't have to be Central Arkansas.
One of the things that actually Brian has been doing, and they've been doing it for a number of years, is and Bryant and a variety of Benton as well, several people in Saline County, they've been pursuing a source out of the Washita River, putting a straw in the Washita River. They're actually in the process of acquiring the right-of-way up and down that so they can get that straw there. And the plan is, with this consortium, is to get that in. And it's going to take a number of years, of course, to do that, but to get that in so we can pump water out of the Washita River, bring it up to a treatment plant up here raw, because it's easier if you lose a little raw water, it's okay, treat it, and then distribute it for us. And it would actually, because we're basically be producing that then, it would result in some cheaper rates as well. But unfortunately, that's going to take a number of years to get all that in place. And they've been working on it for probably, 10 years by now?
10.
Yeah, 3 years.
I've got a brief thing real quick. Mark, I was confused on that. Can you remind everybody what the consent order is? Because I missed it too, because it's just not coming back to me. But can you explain that to some of the people so everybody knows what that is?
Absolutely. Back in 2015, Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality put the city of Bryant under the consent action order. They fined the city of Bryant $4,800. That consent action order required the city to come up with a capital improvement plan. And that capital improvement plan, you don't just go out and say, I want to do X, Y, and Z. You're required to hire engineers to come in. They do a sewer system evaluation. So we're in the middle of all those evaluations. They do it by basin, so by geographic drainage area. And based on the information that they find when they do that, they ask us, usually they'll ask the contractor to do it because most systems can't do this work. They ask us to go out and clean those lines where they find problems and televise them with our CCTV unit. Based on the findings from the inspection, recommendations are made on how to treat those pieces of pipe that have issues. Okay? So generally, again, systems will take that TV work and they'll take it to an engineer and say, tell us what we need to do with this. We did that in the first basin. We learned from our engineers. Now we take that information ourselves and we decide what the fix is. And that's one of the reasons pipe bursting is one of the biggest solutions for these repairs that need to be made. And that was why we wanted to move forward with that work. So that's an 8-year plan that we're under. So another thing that has occurred during this time frame, the last 2 years, is in that evaluation work, we found out that we needed more capacity between our biggest lift station 5, and the treatment plant. So it's about 2 miles of force main. Okay? That's about a $1.5 to $2.2 million spend. I discovered that we abandoned a 10/12-inch force main there. Years ago, when we installed the new force main, we've gone out and we're repairing that main. We're going to put that main back in service for less than $100,000. So we just saved another $1.5 million to $2 million. So we're doing some really good things to offset these costs. They could be a whole lot higher than what they are right now. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for the remediation for myself too. I don't do this every day like you do, so I forgot.
It's easy. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Well, and there's only, of this entire list of 44, there's only 5 that are fractions lower than us. On the water, they're all higher than us. So we're not high on our water rates.
The wastewater.
But the wastewater, we're a little bit higher.
Right.
Of course.
It's really the result of the maintenance work and repair work in the past, or lack thereof. Okay, so we've got a more robust maintenance and repair process now, program in place, and you guys have led us and ladies have led us, hire some additional people. That's helped us tremendously. So we're able to go out and take care of this stuff on the phone. So we wouldn't be here if we'd been doing this work.
So we got to catch up.
Yes, ma'am.
But we're also under the gun, you might say. We have to be satisfying ADEQ and Department of Health with what we're doing.
That's correct. As Jerry was saying, the increase is not driven by the operational costs. It's really driven by the capital expenditures around the ADEQ consent action.
So we don't have much wiggle room.
we don't have much wiggle room. I mean, there's options here. I think the mayor laid out some of those options, so that's something that can be discussed and decided.
Well, I was looking at the wastewater rates, or the customers in the city of Bryant versus our water customers. It's about 2.5 times more. So I guess my question that I'm asking is, if we had more wastewater customers, would that help with that cost, or do we have enough capacity to do that? I know I'm talking futuristic because a lot of people obviously have some way to treat their wastewater, but I'm just looking at 3,279 customers versus 8,715 meters.
Yeah, potentially.
Some of our annexations come in.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're talking 8,700 water meters versus 3,300.
Yeah. I mean, if it's from a density gain, we have a higher density of residents per square mile. That helps. Definitely does. When you start spreading out,
yeah,
it hurts.
Yeah.
Because you got more pipeline that you have to take care of. So, and it's problematic. I mean, we've probably got, I think we're around 800,000 feet of sewer line and over 1 million feet of water line. So, yeah, if you could take a smaller geographic area and get more customers in, it definitely helps.
In my business, it's the same way. So you've got to rely on technology and agility to be able to keep the costs down. That's your only option. I mean, we serve 7 members per mile of line, whereas a municipal will serve 25 per mile of line. And that's what you're talking about. It's that density thing. And in the city like Bryant, at least in these older parts of town, it's hard. When you go develop neighborhood, it's a little easier to cram them all in there, especially with all the new smaller things that we're doing. Is that correct? Yes.
So there's, while the rates are going up, there is some really good news in it too. We're getting more efficient. We're able to do a lot more of these repairs ourselves. We've reduced the amount of capital spend that's going to be required because we're able to do this work in-house. These are all really good things to see happening in the city. And I'm glad we've been able to do them. So we're trying to do everything we can to help the situation. I think we've done a good job of that.
I think this is just a ton to digest at one feeding.
Absolutely. That's why I basically
Very
presented
tough.
to you now.
Yeah.
So, and if it goes on first reading next month, that's fine.
And
But
then-
we're required to present it to you now.
Well, and there could be a hybrid of something too with
Absolutely.
this matter too. So I'd recommend that we perhaps have a workshop to
Okay.
discuss this at some point in time, because I think it's more complex. Just so yes, that's what we're doing. I think there's a lot.
Especially
of
since it's a 3-year plan.
Okay.
There's a lot of pieces to this, and I'd really like to have some time to look at this and digest it.
And we presented this to the water committee tonight too. So they need some time to look at it too and make their recommendation.
We can definitely set up a workshop for that coming up this September.
I just think it's a good idea.
Well, I think this can be discussed in the workshop too, but maybe that's part of, where we could maybe be more informative of what the rates, like our water, RJ, to your point, you hear a lot of people say, my water bill's high. Well, it's not your water bill. It's your wastewater bill. And so maybe there's some education part of that we can put out, and maybe Bryant 101 could, cover that. And the more people understand that, it might be.
There's a lot of education that we need to do.
Yeah. We discussed that tonight too.
And sir, I was asking you that question about the supplementing of water cost, et cetera. And on this comparison list, I don't see several cities around here that people will go, well, my bill's a lot cheaper in here or there or yonder.
And it's difficult to even discuss. People want to compare their bill with Standing's number's bill.
Right, I understand.
In another city.
Yeah.
But each city is unique.
I know, that was the purpose of my question.
Yes.
And so I think some cities supplement certain departments with income from other departments, such if they've got electric utility, they may supplement the water or the wastewater cost with those margins.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things they do to supplement their water or wastewater is with a dedicated sales tax.
Right.
And that would not.
Did you say sales tax?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
They
Or-
they supplement it but through other means.
Or do they supplement it maybe with services?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways.
A services package?
Yeah, there's some things you should do.
We
Thank you. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. You know,
We want to schedule the workshop now.
We'll get with you because there's a couple other things I need to talk about as well.
It just got hot in here when you said sales tax, sir.
I should have known better.
Yeah. I think I broke down to a little bit of a sweat myself.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding this right now? We
Thank
will
you,
work
Bill.
to set up a workshop with you all about that. If not, then that moves on. Thank you so much, sir, for presenting this. We'll move on to mayor comments. I want to remind everybody that coffee with the mayor is October 5th. And this Saturday is salt balls. And this coming up Thursday, is right?
Not this Thursday, but next, not like 2 days from now, but next week.
Thursday of next week is the first class of the next Bryant 101. To get that out of the way. One other thing I need to bring up that we do probably need to have a workshop and potentially a special council meeting on in September is, and Chief Minden is not here. I was hoping he'd stay here for this. But over the past year and a half since I've been here, they've been looking at the coverage for the police radios and stuff in certain areas. And there are some areas in Bryant that the coverage for police radios and fire as well is severely lacking. And so they did some studies. They got with Motorola, who does this stuff and who provides equipment for this. And what they've discovered is in Bauxite there's a cell tower that is actually now owned by Bauxite. It used to be somebody else, and Bauxite got proactive and said, when we started talking about this, probably 8 months ago, they got a little proactive and they actually acquired that tower. And doing some models with Motorola, which is the people that do the models for the PSAP or for the 911 coverage area, radio coverage, whatever it's called. AWIN, there you go. And for the AWIN, by putting equipment on that tower, it will solve our coverage problems. Okay. The trick with that is since the dawn of COVID, it caused a lot of things to get pushed back, and this was actually one of them that got pushed back just a little bit. And but Motorola has come to us, and we've been working with them pretty extensively for the past month and a half with regard to this. And they approached us and said, "Hey, if we can." It's going to cost about this much. I'm not going to throw numbers out right now because I don't want to misrepresent the numbers until we do this. But it's going to cost this much for this radio equipment and tower equipment to do what we need to do. But since Motorola is kind of in a tight and they're trying to increase their business, if they basically said if we could do something in the third quarter, which means in September, because their quarter ends, I think, the 25th of September is what he told me. If we can do something then to commit to this project, then we can realize a substantial savings from the equipment that we need. The beautiful thing about this is they have it as you can either purchase it outright, you can do a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease for the equipment, which is kind of nice. But what's even nicer than that is the first payment would not be due until 2021 or possibly 2022. So what that would allow us to do if we wind up doing this, then that would allow us to budget that for next year, that payment, and for the following years until we pay this thing off. So I just wanted to bring that up to you. We can probably combine that with the workshop if you want and have them both on the same night if y'all want to do that. It might make for a little bit longer than normal night, but it could be well worth it for us if we do that. So we can
Do one workshop.
do one workshop and save some of y'all some time and potentially realize some significant savings for the city of Bryant. Because this is a project that we have to do anyway. I've actually approached Benton about this and Saline County as well. Benton has opted out of this because according to Mayor Farmer, he thinks that they have good enough coverage. And he should know by talking to his people. I don't. Some of the maps I saw, I think he could get a little benefit, but they opted out. I guess they didn't see enough. I'm still talking to Judge Area, and we were supposed to meet today, but he had something come up, so we couldn't meet today, about them possibly contributing to help them on the south side of Swain County, basically East End, not necessarily East End, but back down in that area, whatever those little towns are called. Sardis and other places like that. But he also has issues on the north part of the county as well that he's talking to Motorola with as well. Did I miss anything, JP?
I think you covered it pretty well.
So, I guess. Okay. So with council's permission, the night we do the workshop for the rate study, we'll do a special council meeting for that, if that's okay. And we'll get that information out to y'all ahead of time for that, so y'all can look at and evaluate it and ask questions as you need to. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I appreciate that. And with that, I'm good with mayor comments.
Can we set the date for the workshop / whatever?
We can. We certainly can. I'll go ahead and grab my beautiful little calendar here.
Are you guys wanting to do it within the next couple of weeks?
I'd like to get it done by the 15th if possible.
We can do Tuesday the 8th, but following right after,
Labor Day.
yeah, Labor Day, so if you guys are okay.
I was going to ask if we could do it the week of the 14th.
I'll be back
We could do it the week of the 14th. What?
Can we do Tuesday the 8th, 15th?
Tuesday the 8th.
Tuesday the 15th?
I don't have. I can't do the 8th, so 15th
Okay.
probably be better.
15th.
I can do the 15th.
Yeah. I'm good.
Butch, are you good at the 15th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it sounds like everybody's good at the 15th, 6:30 or 6 o'clock, since it might be a little late, longer.
We can go earlier too, just so y'all know.
Well, Wade's got to work.
So whatever's good for Wade.
I can make 6.
Okay, let's say the 15th, September 15th, 6 o'clock, workshop. We're talking about rate study and special council meeting to discuss the A-Wind Tower, the radios.
Y'all make it sound like the only one that works.
We just.
No,
I'm the only one that works nights.
You're the hardest. Wade, you're the hardest.
Wait a minute.
Wade, I have something that night, but I'm just not going to go.
We just care about you, Wade.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I had something to
We would hug you, but we can't.
Yeah, I know. It's hot enough. I don't want you to.
I don't want to hug you anyway, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, well, with that, I'm good with mayor comments. Any council comments?
I've got two. First off, I want to apologize to Mark Grimmett for snapping back at it here. That I know we're all trying to do what's best for our city, and Mark, it's nothing personal. I want to make sure we get this water thing taken care of for our residents. And secondly, with the sales tax increase, I think we need to give a big round of applause to Jason Brown and the chamber, because they have been pumping this city on social media and throughout Saline County to buy in Bryant, stay in Bryant, and I think I think that's showing each month, because it has consistently gone up the last 2 months during COVID. So thank you, Jason.
I think that's a lot of it, and I also think a lot of people are shopping on from home.
Yeah.
Like I am.
And thank goodness that the
I think
legislature passed that rule so that shopping online comes
Sales
back
tax.
locally. So thank goodness.
You might want to do Chris Wallace since he showed up late.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
You can go ahead and give him his award.
Come on up, Chris.
You didn't think I saw you back there,
Oh, I
did you?
saw him a long time ago.
The
Come on up,
sheriff,
Chris.
he used to be the sheriff of Ashley Park.
Sheriff of Ashley Park.
Did you give him a badge?
He doesn't need no badge.
No, he don't need no super bad. You said ish. You said ish. You said ish. Congratulations.
This is perfect, actually, if you guys just knew.
Huh? Who's your buddy?
Whenever they do the tour of the wastewater treatment like they did in the, would you please contact the council to see if
Sure.
any of us want to go?
Absolutely.
I would like to hear Mark's
Absolutely. I'd love to have y'all come
presentation
down and watch,
and see his
watch wastewater get treated.
his facility.
We can do one just for council.
We could.
And I would love to do it before it gets cooler.
No.
Yeah, you
Do we
get the back,
triple
you get the
mask?
most benefit that way.
I live within,
Do we triple mask for that, Mark?
No, I live within wind distance when it goes out.
Any other council comments?
I want to say thank you to Josh. I appreciate all you've done the last 2.5 years, and welcome Ashley. And
Yes, thank you, Josh.
appreciate both of you willing to do what you do.
We'll miss you.
Well, you can go see him.
I don't know.
I might go see him, but it ain't gonna be at court. It'll be at his house or
Good luck, Josh.
see his wife.
Appreciate you.
Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion and second to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.